This video covers everything we did today in 7th grade math on Tuesday, January 11th. The first thing you're going to do is open up today's classwork. Today's classwork is in Classkick. Make sure that you are logging in with Google. I don't have a student account, so I'm just typing in my name. When you get into Classkick, I'm going to have you skip the do now, skip slide 2, and jump in right away to slide 3. So please meet me on slide 3 in Classkick, and then we'll talk. The first thing we worked on in Classkick today was finding equivalent expressions. So 5.1 says, consider the equation 2 plus 3 equals 5. Here are some more equations using the same numbers that express the same relationship in a different way. So for example, we know that when 5 is our sum, if I subtract either one of my addends, the numbers that I'm adding, so those numbers are 2 and 3, if I subtract the numbers that I am adding from my sum, my final answer, I will end up with the other number that I am adding. In elementary school, you might have heard the term fact family. And the same exact thing applies when we're working with negative numbers. So for example, let's say that I know that my sum is 8. Well, if I have 8 and I take away one of the numbers that I'm adding, like 9, I end up with the other number that I'm adding. And this is just exactly what we see in the original number sentence. We have our sum, which is 8. One of the numbers I'm adding was 9, and the other was -1. And so I end up with 8 minus 9 equals -1. Now, there's another subtraction sentence that you could write for question 1, and there's 2 subtraction sentences that you could write for question 2. So your directions are to write 2 subtraction sentences for each problem. And I want you to just go ahead and pause this video and write 2 subtraction sentences for 1. We already did one of them together. And 2 subtraction sentences for 2. Okay, so let's do 1 subtraction sentence for question 2, just so that we're clear on how this works. You could take, for example, -11 as one of your addends and 7 as your sum, the answer. And you could say that 7 minus -11 is equal to x. And that's a great way to find a variable, to find a missing value, is just to know that, okay, I can use my inverse operation, or I can use subtraction to find the missing number in an addition sentence. Okay, 5.2 says, here is an unfinished number line diagram that represents a sum of 8. A, how long should the other arrow be? And B, for an equation that goes with this diagram, Mai writes 3 plus question mark equals 8, and Tyler writes 8 minus 3 equals question mark. Do you agree with either of them? And then tell me what the unknown number is. So I want you to go ahead and pause this video and answer question 1. Okay, so you should have given this a try on your own, and hopefully you saw that we were adding 5, and we can tell just by the fact that our sum is 8, and so we know that we're moving from 3 up to 8, which tells me that our other arrow should be 5 units long. We know that both equations are correct, and the reason is because when our sum is 8, we can take away a number we are adding, that's an addend, to find the other addends, the other number that we are adding. And so the missing number is 5 because 3 plus 5 equals 8. This is an example of how important it is to make use of the relationship between addition and subtraction. I know that 3 plus something is 8, and that means that if I take away the addends that I do know, the number that I do know I'm adding, I can find the missing number. The last slide we're going to focus on if you missed class is slide 4. Slide 4 says, here are two more unfinished diagrams that represent sums. For each diagram, what would Mai write? Remember, Mai was the one in this question who used a addition sentence. And then it says, what would Tyler write? And Tyler was the one who used a subtraction sentence. So let's do N together, and then I'll have you do P on your own. In N, we know that our sum is 8, right? We know that our sum is 8. So something plus something equals 8. And we know that one number we're adding is -3 because we can see the arrow moving left. And so -3 plus question mark is equal to 8. Now, if Tyler was writing this sentence, he would write it as a subtraction sentence. And so Tyler would take 8, which is the number we know is our sum, and he would subtract the number we know we're adding, which is -3, to help him find the missing number. Which is convenient. It gives us the final answer in C. We know the other arrow should be 11 units. And we know that because 8 minus -3 is the same thing as 8 plus 3. And we can also tell that -3 is 11 spaces away from 8. And so we know that that answer makes sense. We know that -3 is 11 spaces away from 8. Now, I would like you to go ahead and pause this video and answer A, B, and C for diagram P. So in diagram P, we can tell that we're ending up at -8. We know that one of the numbers we're adding is +3 plus something gets us back to -8. And again, we can take our sum and we can subtract the number we know we're adding, which in this case is +3, and that will tell us our missing number. And this time, to get from the number we know we're adding over to our final answer, we have 11 spaces, but it's -11 spaces because we're moving left. We're moving left, and so it's -11. Now, we're moving towards the end of classwork today. Here are your directions. First is I want you to answer slide 3, or I should say question 3 on this slide. That's the last thing in class cake today. Second is I want you to complete the exit ticket. The exit ticket is in Delta Math. It's also linked here in the main folder for today. You can see 5.5 exit ticket. And the last thing you need to take care of is you need to complete the homework that is also posted in Delta Math, and you can see the link again here in the main folder. If you have any questions about those directions and how to make up what you missed in class today, please make sure that you send me an email. Otherwise, I will see you tomorrow, and thanks for watching.